Plaintiff Rose Stark says the defendant is her sister, and they've always been two peas in a pod. However, Rose is suing because she sold the defendant a truck and she stopped making the payments. Defendant Eva Morgan says Rose raised her most of her life because their mother was always busy working, and Rose was even there for her when she was involved in an abusive marriage. Eva insists Rose is suing her for more than she owes.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Start with you.
My sister and I has been inseparable since we were younger. My mom was pregnant with twins with me, and she lost my twin. We've been Bobby twins ever since. When she was born, when she got older, I helped feed her, I helped change her, I helped take care of her. I love my sister with
What's the age difference?
We're a year apart. I was born in 63, she was born in 64.
You can't start off lying. You ain't changed nobody's diaper, and you ain't but a 1 year older than her.
We still do things together, I help do everything.
I thought I heard you say you changed her diapers.
I change her I helped with some of it,
All right.
But I love her. We've called each other twin for years, and I had a school caseworker, and we'd go out, and if I'd go swimming, she'd go with me at the beach house that's in Springfield, which is no longer open. If I'd go to the fair, she'd tag along. We would we'd go to my social worker's house, and she'd take us and go shopping, and we'd get stuff for ice cream sundaes. And
you all didn't fall out much, if any?
Not too much. Not too much. When we went to my social workers, we'd done a no-no. We'd have ice cream. She'd be in bed, and we'd sneak into her cigarettes and smoke a cigarette, and she called us. But other than that, we were pretty good. When we got a little bit older, she was 16. She left home. She was gone, I think, about 6-7 years, and she come back, and she had a baby, and that was a shock. My twin had a baby before I did, Then about 1989, maybe 90s, her husband brought her back to my mom's and dropped her off without her children, and she needed someone to lean on, and I was there with her. I helped her, We would drink, and we would do quarter shots. So we had fun, throughout the time. We had a lot of fun.
What happened with your husband that would occur?
He was very abusive. He threw me out of a 3-story house, and I injured my hips. And while I laid up in the hospital recovering from an abusive relationship with him, he told the judge I had abandoned my children, and I fought for years to get them back. Life has been a very hard struggle. Very hard struggle for me. Like Rose said, we have been two peas in a pod. She mothered me most of my life because my mother was busy with working and taking care of other siblings. So each one of the siblings kind of picked a sibling to hover over and to take care of and to nurture and to love and to care for. And Twin did that for me. At the end of the day, I know that I love her with all my heart. What
was hard about your life? You say you had a hard, tough life.
Being married to the first husband, he was very abusive. Growing up as a child wasn't very good.
It sounded like it was. Tell me what you feel was wrong, or what do you feel you missed or went wrong with your life?
The love and the affection and the understanding of real parents. My mom was busy working. My dad was totally, I hate to say it, but my dad totally was an alcoholic, and he just wasn't the affectionate type of person. That's where the love and affection come from. Rose was there. Rose gave it to me. Looking up to Rose is a challenge to me. Rose has taught me a lot in life, along with my other 8 siblings that I have. I have 7 sisters and 3 brothers.
How many grew up in the same household?
We all grew up in the same house except one brother and one sister. That was from my dad's previous relationship, I guess, before he got with my mother. But it was a very loving, nurturing family because the siblings is the ones that loved you when mom and dad could
Yeah,
not.
and that's why I'm curious why you would say that it wasn't a good childhood.
Because to me, the parents are supposed to give a child the love.
Did they give it to the other children? Did they have enough to spread to the other children?
I think the problem was my mom was just overwhelmed with all the children, and she didn't know how to function with all. She didn't know how to give the love to all the children. I don't hate my mom. Don't take me wrong. I don't hate my mom or my dad. I worship the grounds both my parents walk on. And they are deceased now, and I wish that they were still here because they would have good advice for both of us. They would figure out what to do without coming this far.
I often say when you have more than 5 children, it's kind of hard as one person to spread yourself around emotionally, particularly when you go over 7.
My mom worked for the city for many, many years, walking out in the cold and the rain to provide for us.
Yeah, and so you did have a good childhood. You had a very hard-working mom. You had 8 siblings. I wish I'd have had that many siblings. Then maybe I didn't have to fight as much. Maybe one would have took up for me, and the other one wouldn't have gotten me. All right, tell me why you're suing on this truck and the late fees.
I'm suing her because I had a 2002 Chevy Avalanche for sale, and she had inquired about it. I really didn't want to sell to family, so I was like, no. But I felt lenient and sorry for her in a way because her husband was sick. Her second husband was sick. He had to go to St. Louis a lot to the doctors for his lungs and stuff. She didn't have no way. So she come and she asked me if she can buy it. She promised she'd make the payments every month on time. I said, okay. So I sold it to her. We had a contract. And sorry, I don't have it with me because I have it packed.
What was the amount?
It was for $15,500. She was doing real good at making payments. She paid good all the way up until June. And then in June, she didn't make a payment. She kept giving excuses. If you look at the evidence that was presented to you.
What page?
Page 1, it states that she's checking her checking account. It should be there by midnight. The whole conversation goes all the way to the end.
To tomorrow. I just left it.
She talked about where she couldn't make the payment because they overpaid her, and it was for $1,000, and it was just something that just went on and on.
What do you say, ma'am?
I owe her the money. I know that. Okay. I'm not saying I don't. I did not get a Social Security check for June. I have an overpayment with them. When my husband passed away, they gave me a certain amount of money, and I called to see if I was supposed to have it, and they said yes, and now they decided that I wasn't entitled to the money that they sent me, so I have to pay it back.
Did you get a stimulus check from the COVID-19 stimulus check?
I did. I paid bills that I had to have to keep my son. I lost my husband.
How old is your son?
My son is 14 years old. He's disabled.
So you got a check for him as well?
He's got. I did, but like I said, I had to pay other bills to be able to keep my son.
Okay.
My son is disabled. My son has got Down syndrome. He's gluten-free. He's severely, badly type 1 diabetic. I do get assistance through the state, but I don't get as much as everybody thinks I get. I get a measly $71 a month in link for him.
Did your husband work when he was alive?
My husband did work until he got sick, and then he
So that's what put her in the hole. I think she knows that. But
he put. Honest to God, that is what stuck me in the hole. Because with my husband passing in February, I still had to pay for all the bills that he owed. Yeah. I'm still paying for his bills. When they tell you to send a death certificate, it's going to wipe the bill away. Don't believe it because it doesn't always work that way.
I never heard though. That's a misunderstanding if anybody tells you that.
And that's exactly what happened, Your Honor. I got stuck with paying all of his bills. It was either pay it or I was going to go to jail kind of thing. So, I mean, I had to do what I had to do, but I did not. This is the first time that I have never, ever paid any truck payment to her. Yeah. June 1st was the very first time I never paid to her. I looked at it this way. The only reason why I didn't give her money was because she's bringing me to court. So I was...
Okay. Well, why don't we do this? Because I recognize why you would be set back. And so I'm going to give you 30 days to pay her. Have a good day. Take care.
I love her. I still love her. She's still my sister, and I love her to death.
She'll always be my twin.